Have you ever felt especially smart and lovable and funny when talking to a certain person, only to feel extremely unintelligent and hopelessly inarticulate when talking in the presence of another? Well, if you have, you're not crazy. You're not seeing things. We've all been there. Studies and experiments have shown that when people report feeling comfortable with a conversational partner, they are judged by those partners and by observers as actually being more witty. This is just one example of the powerful influence that social factors can have on intelligence. So, Mr. Aronson, an associate professor at New York University, has been a leader in investigating the effects of social forces on academic achievement. So basically, him and a psychologist called Claude Steele, he identified this phenomenon known as stereotype threat. Members of groups believed to be academically inferior. This is just one study. This is one experiment that they've done. Basically, African American and Latino students enrolled at college, or female students, especially in math and science classes, they scored much lower on tests when they were reminded beforehand of their race or gender, which is, when you think about it, kind of ridiculous, right? Because this is not true. Not all females are bad at math. Not all African American Latino students are low performance, and not all of them are not capable of going to college. So, why does this happen? Why would someone perform less? Like, why would they underachieve if they've simply been reminded of their gender or their ethnic origin right before taking the test? So this is what we want to find out, right? Well, let me tell you this. Stereotypes are real. They're real. They're out there. And like everything else in the world, they have major effects. Like more than you could ever imagine. Only 2 weeks ago, I went in to take my IELTS exam. This is a very small example on a very broader scale, but it will give you the essence of it, I guess. So I went in to take my IELTS exam, and for those of you who don't know what IELTS is, it's basically an English proficiency exam to prove your level of English if you're not a native English speaker or you don't hold an English speaking passport, which is my case. I grew up speaking English. I learned it before any other language, before my own language. And I had to take this exam because simply I don't have an English speaking passport. And so there are 4 components to this exam. There's reading, there's listening, there's writing, and there's speaking. So the first 3 components, I went in, and they were completely fine. It was just me and a piece of paper. It was completely peaceful. There were no external effects. It was just me and that paper and my ability to speak English. And since I can speak English properly, I performed just fine. But when it came to the speaking section, I mean, obviously, as you can see, I can't shut up. So it'd be kind of ridiculous if I messed that up, right? Well, I went in there, and the man that's testing me, yeah, forgot to mention, it's not on a computer. It's not on any other form of testing. It's a man and a recording. Basically, the man is going to there's this guy assessing me. He's going to ask me questions, and as well as a recording. There's a recording of our conversation for people to assess in the other part of the world, like in England or something. Anyway, I went in extremely nervous, just like any other person in exams, but especially that this guy, the way this guy was looking at me, the fact that he had my passport with him. He can see where I'm from, he can see my ethnic background, and he had all of these crazy assumptions of me, like what I'm supposed to be, of my level of English, of who I am, and that is pretty threatening. That, like, that has major effects, had major effects on me. It made me, it gave me this, like, want to live up to this guy's expectations, which is ridiculous, right? Because it's negative, but we can't help it as humans. We don't want to cross our comfort zones. It's it's psychological, but it's not as easy as it sounds. We can't just be ourselves when people are expecting us to be a certain way, and they're undermining us. And I could feel him. I could feel his energy in the air. I could feel what he's thinking. And I mean, obviously, I didn't just like shut up the whole time and I didn't forget English and stuff. Like, I didn't start speaking Chinese or anything. But my speech was very eccentric. Like, my speech pattern got very rocky. I started using words that I don't usually use. Why? All because of how this guy was looking at me, how he was expecting me to perform. And also somewhere along the line, along the interview, I uttered a word in an Arab accent. Why? Because I'm Arab. Like, I have the most whitewashed accent, as you can hear right now. And you would wonder, why would that happen? Again, I was extremely nervous. And this guy had my passport. You can see that I'm Arab. And it just came out. And I felt bad. I mean, after that, not because I spoke an Arab accent, just because of how much of an impact this guy had on me. And it's like, it angers me of how much an impact people can have on you with things like that. It's like the mental process that, like, I was going through. Like, this guy is watching me. He's expecting me to confirm his prejudices. How can I prove him wrong? Can I prove him wrong? Well, it isn't so easy, because a part of my cognitive resources is distracted. Instead of me focusing entirely on the task that I had at hand, I felt compelled to monitor that threat and keep my emotions under control. And at some point, I almost felt helpless. And this is, again, it sounds very dramatic, but believe it or not, it's a thing. And so back to the thing where people are taking tests and they're reminded of their ethnic background or their sex. Another experiment have shown that, on standardized tests, there's the section that asks you to indicate your ethnic background, your sex, and all of that. It's been removed from the AP Calculus test for a certain amount of time, and it's been given to females, and it's proven that they've performed way better when they didn't have to fill in that section, because it wasn't in their like conscious that, you know, I'm a female, like I'm not that good at math because society says so. So that person wasn't reminded of that, and therefore was able to show their full potential or without any external influences of human prejudices. And also, what concerns me most is that this isn't doesn't only affect test takers. It might start affecting our children's learning or our learning in general, because consider how people learn. We learn through our working memory. What is our working memory? It's our mind's ability to track multiple pieces of information at once and stay focused. We need good working memory skills to pay attention, follow directions, and execute plans. But our working memory is a delicate thing. It's easily frazzled when we feel threatened. In experiments, people reminded of that negative stereotypes, they have suffered immediate dips in working memory performance. And guess what? Again, shocker. Researcher suspects it's because they divert precious working memory resources to keep their emotions under control, reducing their capacity to handle other information. So now, what can we do to reduce the effect, reduce this negative externality of stereotype threats? So talking about tests, we can provide students with an opportunity to reflect on their most cherished value. So again, this has been tried. This has been proven to work. Basically, right before an exam, teachers would supply students with time to just reflect on their most cherished value, and just truly it helps them believe in themselves, and just, you know, gives them like a head start to the exam. This experiment has been specifically run on undergraduate students, and it reduced the effects of stereotype threat. And also another way is to encourage our children to adopt an effort-based or growth theory of ability. So it's not like, oh, you've been born this way. This is your amount of intelligence. This is the share you've got, and that's it. Like, you get no more. Like, there's no room or space for you to improve. No, that's not how it goes. Learning isn't determined by your amount of intelligence or whatever. And intelligence is gained by experiences. It's gained by nurturing. It's not just, you're not born with it. So that's what we need to tell our children, that they are capable of learning. They are capable of improving. And that, in turn, would help them out to remember all the things that they've learned on the exam day, because all the other like stereotypes at this point would be irrelevant, because they know they can learn. It's even if they're stereotyped to be stupid, they believe that they can improve. So yeah, also one thing that we can do on a daily basis on our own, something we can do, each one of us can contribute to society to like just remove this unnecessary hindering effect that literally, like, it affects people in such huge amounts that it's mind-blowing. The things that it's stopping from happening. We as people have great minds. We have great ideas. We're crazy smart, and it's really sad for that to be hindered, and for ideas not to be able to nourish just because of our inability not to judge, not to speculate, to just give people a chance. Just give people a chance. Don't look at their ethnic background. Don't look at their sex. When you talk to someone, talk to them with an open mind. When you're getting to know someone, get to know them with an open mind, and just let them draw the picture for you. Don't draw it for them. That's all.